feel free to let me know, because if the majority of students know something, there's no point repeating that same thing. And at the same time, please start, like if you have any questions, either keep them for the end or just start typing them on the chat. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so firstly about myself, I am currently working with Microsoft in PowerPoint presentation team, and I recently moved from Seattle. I was working in Microsoft again, but Redmond office. Then I pursued my master's from computer science, and it has been about 2.5 years that I've been working. I helped while I was working, I was TA for 3 subjects and plus a software developer. I did a SD job at USC, and I used to help students with their resume reviews, coding interviews, and all those things. I received multiple offers for Facebook, for multiple offers for internship and multiple offers for full time, but I chose to work with Microsoft at that time. So the agenda of, and like, yeah, this is the question that most oftenly people ask me, that why did I choose Microsoft over Facebook? I think when you are making the final decision, it's also about the team that you want to work in, and of course numbers are also important. So using Facebook offer, I was able to crack a better deal with Microsoft, so I joined Microsoft. The agenda of this presentation is to give an overview of the ATS system, how to prepare, how to approach for referrals. In the end, I want to cover important topics for system design. And yeah, in the end, I'll leave it for Q&A if you guys have any. So first of all, I plan to take like 15 minutes to speak up the stuff that I want to say, and then for remaining time, I want to take up your questions. So regarding hacking the ATS system, what is ATS system? It's the application tracking system. So whenever you submit your resume, it's not like anybody is gonna see it with the human eye. It first goes through a parser kind of a software where it takes out the tokens of your resume, sees that if it matches to the job description that they posted, and that is how your resume is sent to the HR for a human eye review. And after that, you get a call. So my suggestion would be that if you want to, so first of all, make your resume very specific to the job description. So if you're looking for something like machine learning and software development job, don't try to put everything in a single resume. Make separate resumes for machine learning job and software development job. If the resume is specifically focusing the backend or infrastructure kind of a job role, then make sure that you have keywords like REST APIs, Spring Boot, Jersey, Java, and all these terminologies related to REST APIs, web services, microservices, logging architectures, and all those things. At the same time, make sure that your resume is not too specific or too generic. So what do I mean by too specific is that sometimes if a role, and so for example, say that someone has posted a job for say Apache, say Hadoop. If every project and if every skill set of yours just talks about Hadoop, it will make your resume too specific to a specific job. So make sure that you cover a good range, but at the same time you don't overstep. So for example, if you're making your resume specific to SD, don't try to put in too much of machine learning stuff, right? And very important point that I want to, that certain formats on certain fonts are not machine readable. So it means that the machine will not be able to scan those tokens. So in any case, the system will not be able to figure out that what kind of job have you applied for. So I would say that make sure that your resume is machine readable. Towards the end of the presentation, I have a specific link where you can find a machine readable format and you can just download it and use it. There are so how do you figure out that your resume is machine readable or not? Go to workday.com. So if you apply to Adobe, it will take you to Workday. So what happens is that if you try to upload your resume, just try to see that how many fields is it able to automatically fill up. So for example, if you think that the automatically hardly 10% or 20% of the fields were picked, then something is wrong with your resume. If 50% is done, then you're good to go. Another way is to scan your resume via jobscan.co. I have given the link towards the end. I'll also show you certain demo of how JobScan works. So this is a screenshot of my resume when I started applying versus 2 months of working on my resume. So you can see that this is a screenshot of my Expedia profile. This is first, the first screenshot is that of the resume that I used initially when I just came to United States and I did not take resume very seriously. And when I started getting at least 2 to 3 resume rejects every single day, that is when I enhanced my resume. So this was what the final version was. So what I did was that I took my old resume and I posted it on jobscan.co, and I used Amazon's job description as a base, and I figured that the rate was less than 20%. This is for my old resume. So I'm not surprised that they used to send me resume reject. And after that, I posted the resume that I most recently, the latest resume that I used for my internships. And when I posted it, the rate was 50%. Now, also keep in mind that when you post your resume on JobScan, it will try to give equal weightage to non-technical skills as well. For example, your leadership skills and all those things. But I think that for SD kind of jobs, you don't need such non-tech keywords. So first try to optimize as much as you can on your technical keywords, and then if you still have some space in your resume, you can go for non-technical skill set, but I really think that it will not help you. Now let's switch gear and talk about more about how to prepare. Now, most commonly students are worried that which language should they code in, and all those things. So I would say that you should at least know one enterprise language, for example, Java or C Sharp, which are more enterprise related. But you can also interview in Python, and these days I'm seeing that companies are specifically preferring Go, but if you don't know Go as of now, don't worry, just give your interviews in Python, but make sure that you know the basic syntax. Like, for example, if you want to sort a dictionary by the value, these are the basic thing that you should know if you want to pass a comparator. This, or how do you use a priority queue. So for this, if at the time of the interview you say that, okay, this is something that I don't know, can I Google it, they'll most probably not say no, but the thing is that it will just waste your time. So these are some things that you should just be ready with, and try not to use a lot of standard libraries. For example, if you are using heap sort, don't try to import the heap priority queue model, in the module. Try to implement it of your own. So yeah, that's what I wanted to cover in this topic. And yeah, so obvious sources are of course like LeetCode and all those things. And when you prepare, also make sure that the kind of company that you are interviewing with. So for example, if you're interviewing with a finance based company, and if they call you and they ask you, do you know about our company, don't just go blank. You should know that what are hedge funds, what are stocks, at least the basic stuff. So for example, if a company works specifically on, say, data kind of a things, then you should know basic terminology. For example, ETL systems, data storage, databases, and all those things. And then now, say that you have applied to a networking based company. Now, it shouldn't be the case that they ask you first question related to networking and you go blank. So make sure that you know the basic domain of the company where you are applying for. While you're preparing, if you have worked on certain projects, and if you can include the GitHub repositories of those projects in your resume, that will be great too. Like that, I think that is one of the best thing that you can do to your resume. Keep on reading their technical blogs. That will also help you. It will also help you to come up with questions. So you can say that this is something that I was reading on your tech blog, that this is what the next vision is. How do you see the course of company changing over a period of time? Of course, this doesn't stand true for like a very huge company, but yeah, for mid-level kind of companies, these tricks will really come handy. Then cracking the coding interview, I am not a very big fan of this book, because I mean, everyone knows the questions and everyone knows that you would have already done it, but this is basically the ABC of um, um, I mean, people generally start coding from this book. So I think if you haven't gone through it, go through it, but don't bank on it too much. You can also take LeetCode Premium membership. Guys can be innovative and think of ways to reduce the cost per person. And then about referrals, again, referrals is a very good way to get calls, but I would say that referral is not very scalable. It's very difficult to get in touch with someone, and you don't know whether that person is in that space to refer you or not. So, but still, I would say that if you are asking for referrals over LinkedIn, don't just say that, hey, my name is this, I belong from this university, can you refer me? It's not going to help you. Cold emailing, I am not a big fan of cold emailing. So that will probably not help you, but still, it never hurts to try. you guys can go to hackathons. This was a very good place to find internships, at least in my time, but that was like a pre-COVID era. So I used to go to hackathons, and there also I met a lot of companies and recruiters. Then Grace Hopper conference is again a very good source to meet companies. I am pretty sure that this time the career fair would be different. My assumption is that probably each booth, each company will have like a, like a chat room of their own, something like that, to and my guess is also that they will not be interviewing during those 3 days. My guess is that they'll probably interact and they'll keep the resume, or they'll ask you to apply online, and then they'll probably schedule the interviews after the conference. But I don't know, they haven't really made it clear how things are going to work this time. And of course, the earlier the better. The earlier you apply for these companies, it's really going to come handy. Now this is the sample of the referral that I asked for to a guy who was working at Twilio. And this is on the left. You can see that this is a girl who reached out to me for a referral, and it was very plain. I could just see that it's a copy pasted format that she has been sending to a lot of people. And this is the message that I sent to someone who was my senior at USC. Now you may ask that how many times do I need to customize my message? The answer is every time. And because looking for a job is a job in itself, so you cannot um, have cut leave any corners, or be like, how many times should I do it? If you are asking for referrals, you will have to put in some amount of effort towards it. Now these are the important terms that I think that people who are going for technical interviews, and apart from lead code, this is something that you guys should definitely know, at least the basic of it, because this will set you apart from your peers. So for example, you should know the basics of distributed applications. Now generally people think that distributed applications mean microservices. That's not the case. Distributed applications has its own algorithm, has its own set of principles. So the idea is not it shouldn't be like, if someone says distributed, just be like, okay, I'll design microservices and be the